This video is about books that I have stopped in the middle of, but have not yet deemed never to be finished. They've been put on hold. They have been submitted into bookshelf Purgatory. They're in a limbo with no timeline of escape. For whatever reason, I looked at these books and said, not right now, babe. It's just not our time. Bookshelf Purgatory is where all of the books that I have not officially DNF'd yet, but have no immediate plans of reading anytime soon, go. I plan to eventually finish reading them, but it's not right now, or the next year probably, but maybe one day. The first book that I have sequestered into bookshelf limbo is The Last by Hannah Jameson. The Last by Hannah Jameson is a apocalyptic dystopian mystery thriller book. It's a very whodunit, do we care, does it matter vibes, because the world is literally ending in this book. There's just been a worldwide nuclear war, and the characters that we are following are stuck in this remote hotel because this nuclear war happened out of nowhere. So everybody was just going on their regular day lives. So it's about these people that were just at this hotel for business, vacation, or otherwise, and suddenly the world literally blew up. In the throes of this earth-shattering catastrophe and them being stuck at this remote hotel, there is a murder. And half the characters are like,
we have bigger fish to fry. I don't care about this murder.
And the other half are like,
but we are still here. The murderer is with us. And do we really have bigger fish to fry? There's nothing going on. We're stuck here. Let's at least bring justice upon this murderer who killed these innocent people.
So we're basically following a murder in the middle of the end of the world, which is a very, very intriguing concept. And if you like dystopian stuff, you would love this book. It should be said that if you are going to read this book, there are a lot of trigger warnings that I would put on it. It was too much for me, but that being said, end of the world stuff is very iffy for me. I like to be transported into other worlds, but I like feeling like there's some level of hope. And in the post-apocalyptic world of a nuclear war zone, there's just not a lot of hope. It really pushes the people in this story to their limit, and it pushed me to my limit. But I'm able to put the book down. So, I did. I just don't like thinking about nuclear destruction. In the Barbenheimer debacle, I'm choosing Barbie 10 out of 10 times. I never want to think about nuclear war, ever, never, ever. I don't think this book deserves my full DNF because I still think about how it could end. So one day, maybe I'll find out. I don't think that day will be soon, but maybe. The next book on our list is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Again, it's a mystery thriller. The reason I have not finished this book is because I left my copy all the way across the world. I was enjoying myself. But then when I realized that to continue reading this book, I would need to repurchase said book, I simply didn't want to. So, if I ever get my hands on another copy and can figure out where in the flickin' help I was in the book, I would love to continue reading it because I do still think about it and I refuse to watch the movie until I finish the book. The third book on my list is A Place Called Here by Cecilia Ahern. I don't know why I stopped reading this book in the first place. Maybe I was going through a reading slump or something big happened in my life or I got distracted by other books, but I was really intrigued by it. Oh, I should explain what it's about. So our main character in this book is obsessed with finding lost and missing things and people. And one day, she herself goes missing. And she ends up in this in-between world called Here, where all of the lost and missing things and people go, which is super intriguing to me. And that is really all I cared about in this book. There is a plot. I think she's looking for some other missing person, but I didn't care. I think that's the biggest reason that I stopped reading this book is I didn't care about the actual plot. All I cared about was the in-between world that she goes to. It was bouncing between the main character who's stuck in this in-between world and then some dude who's part of the plot, but who's not stuck in this in-between world. I just didn't care about him. I'm sorry, I didn't care about him. Maybe it's because I have ADHD and lose things on a daily basis and struggle with object permanence that I was just really intrigued by the idea that all of the things that I can't find and lose are just simply slipping in and out of this in-between world rather than me just being incapable of keeping track of them. I think I'm most likely to pick this book up again out of all of the books on this list because I am still so intrigued by this world. I just completely don't know what's going on with the characters really, other than the main character is missing. And then another character is trying to find her. But maybe I will be reading this sometime in 2024. We will see. The next book is Adverbs by Daniel Handler. This book is unique. The biggest reason I paused this book is because there are so many bird references, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. A lot of them are quite interesting takes and metaphors. But I realized halfway through that if I was sitting through all of these bird analogies and metaphors, I wanted to keep track of them so I could then go back and kind of compare and contrast what they had to do with love, which is a big focus in this book, and see what was going on. I don't know. I wanted to be able to go back and compare and analyze all of these funky metaphors once I finished the book. The birds, they're bringing it out in me. So I came to the I can't say conclusion without sounding like a bird. So I came to the conclusion that I'd need to start the entire book over. And I didn't have the energy. I don't have the energy. So it's yet to be done. I don't hear much about this book, but it was very interesting and unique. And I feel like fans of literary fiction would probably vibe a little bit with this book. It went a little bit over my head at times, but if this was brought up to me in a book club, I would say, hell yeah, let's read that, you know? Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata. I was reading this around the spooky season this year, and it wasn't giving me so much spooky as it was giving me Black Mirror, this is going to send me into a spiral for 13 days and 13 nights. This one is a lot easier to stop in the middle of because it's a collection of short stories, so I didn't feel like I was leaving any story unfinished. I'd finished one of the short stories and said, no more, I cannot take it, and put it down. This book is a lot about human norms and pushing past or completely obliterating those human norms. The story that broke me in this book is about this alternative universe where when someone dies, instead of holding a funeral for them, they hold a life ceremony. During a life ceremony, all of the loved ones of this person who's passed, their friends and their family, they all get together and they have a nice sit-down meal, completely consisting of their remains. I knew what I was getting into when I started reading this book. I knew there would be like weird things involving the human body in this book. And I was like, I'm down for a little spook. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. It is completely normal in this alternative universe. After the life ceremony, you take another attendee and you copulate in honor of your mutual deceased friend. It's seen as a form of reincarnation, like you're taking the energy from eating that dead person and using it to conceive a child. And it's completely normal in this society. It's tradition. It's so normal that it's totally regular to know when a life ceremony has recently happened because you'll just see people banging on the street. When I say it's tradition in this story, it's tradition. It's ingrained in their society that this is part of the grieving process. It made me so severely uncomfortable. I just never picked the book up after finishing that story and that spiral. I'm sure the author did exactly what they were trying to do. I'm sure they succeeded because I will never forget that story. There's also a story in there that is literally just about two scroll children having a full-grown man captive in the forest and keeping him as their pet. And I feel very comfortable with my decision to put this book down, so it may be a full DNF. The only reason I have not placed this book on the DNF list is because it is short stories. So I know that if I pick this book back up, I will not be throwing myself back into the world of absolute chaos that is the life ceremony story. I will be thrown into a new one that could be just as bad, if not worse. But I'm still toying with that risk, so we'll see if I fully DNF this one day. And those are all the books that are currently stuck in bookshelf purgatory. Do you guys have any books that are stuck in this weird limbo of will they, won't they be read? Because I don't know if this is just a me thing or if people actually just say, you know what, this book wasn't for me, I'm not going to read it, ever. Is there an in-between for people where they just don't know yet? Or am I just really indecisive? If you guys have read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, please pop those below and your thoughts on them because I am very, very curious. Or if you have any other books that are in your shelf purgatory, you know the drill if you're here. No spoilers, just some nice good banter in the comments below. And I will see you very soon. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Bye, 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 bye.